This is me, Neha, and I would like to bring this beautiful gift for all of you. It's a talk show, a series of talk shows named Understanding Spirituality. We all are walking this path, and spirituality is such a dynamic name when you think of it. We all have our own definition of spirituality. What it means to you is very personal. It might not resonate with other person, but it might resonate with someone else. With this talk show, I would like to bring the wisdom, the experience of people who are walking this path, and what does spirituality means to them, and how did they transform their journey after this awakening, after this awareness that, oh, are we living in the reality or in illusion? We are living in illusion and the reality is out there. So I would like to bridge this gap and bring this wisdom from the people who are already walking this path for many years. And I hope it resonates with you. And if it's for you, you please watch it full. Thank you so much.
Fill your heart with wisdom as you age. Fill your body with acceptance as you age. Life has enough fire to burn you with it. The very same life has all the love to rebirth you. The longer we live, the more fire we are gifted with. Fear no death, fear no sickness.
Thank you so much, Rakhee, for this beautiful poem. It really shows the depth we humans can go into, and the depth of your heart you have been to, your own heart. So thank you so much for doing what you're doing.
Thank you so much.
And on the same note, I would like to start our talk show, and the series is Understanding Spirituality. So I would like to understand from you, what is spirituality for you?
Spirituality for me is a unique way in which you have decided to express your life. So whatever that brings you happiness, whatever that brings you freedom, it can look crazy to someone else. But if that feeling, that knowing is rooted in truth and compassion, I would say that is your unique spiritual path, or a unique spiritual feeling that you know that it's there.
Wow, that's so beautiful and so simple actually.
It is. I feel that people make it extremely complicated, right?
Yeah.
It is such a simple thing. It's so uniquely personal. To me, this, what we do, where we live, how we live, that is my spirituality. That is an expression of how I want to be close to the universe. So the closest that I feel with my ancestors, the beautiful guiding spirit, the beautiful universe is coming to this. What I feel is peaceful, joyful, beautiful, loving, and my little happy, contented space. And that can look like anything to another person. So I think this is the biggest difference between spirituality and religion. When it is about religion, the rules are already set. So you drop everything that you truly feel, the little butterfly, the little beautiful little spark that you feel. You may not be able to practice that in the certain religion that your parents have raised you with, or that you're born into. So choosing a spiritual path is, I would say, it's not a lifestyle. It's a way of living. It's a commitment that you are going to gift yourself, to people around you, to your community, and to the collective.
Yeah. And when you are true to yourself, then only you can be true to others.
Absolutely.
By knowing your gifts, you can just share it when you know what they are. Beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for answering that question so beautifully. Moving forward, I would like to understand, so when you took this human birth, how did you start this journey? And when did you actually become aware that we are not actually living in the reality, we are living in an illusion, and reality is out there? How did you figure that out?
I'm smiling because I'm thinking, do you really want to ask me that question?
Yeah.
Wow, what a question. I always knew, of course, when you are a child, you know that this is not just the world. For me, it was a huge struggle, even though I come from a shamanic lineage, I have very spiritual parents. I think because of the fear that they have also me being a girl child, having visions and dreams, and so it went a little too quickly to people in my own family who had schizophrenic things, or people who have committed suicide, and because it's a very thin line, you see. So now, also me being a mother myself, I can understand why my parents were that protective. They kind of never encouraged that part of dreaming or talking about other worlds.
Spirits.
Yes, because
Yeah.
for them that is because that's the biggest fear, right?
I know.
So they kind of wanted me to practice the way they were practicing things, and not the way my great grandfather would. Or, you know, as you know, you also come from India, you know, the things that happened in the last 2 generations are extremely violent in many ways. The colonization, and even before that, and also things that happened even after the independence, really shutting down pretty much everything that is soul and heart of what the Indian subcontinent was always about. So really moving from that space of having, you know, very normal conversations. We would have all these little stories at home after dinner time, or even after just a casual lunch time, about how our great grandfathers were they would communicate to spirits, and there were stones that they would have these little souls in, or they would trap them, and all these. It was a very common thing for us. So we would all listen and look, ooh, and so a lot of things were out in the open in our home. But for them, it was a thing of the past, because coming from, you know, the family where we always made medicine, we were medicine men and women. So at one point, only men were practicing it. So women would make it at home, but women are not allowed to go out as medicine women. So we could be midwives, we could make plant medicine, we would give it to the men who are in charge, who are also family members, a son or a father or whoever, also to protect the women in our family. Because women with, even now and before, women with power of any kind, it can be women with just a little bit of a voice, is considered dangerous, right? Because if you're doing something a lot of people don't know how to do, or are not doing, or not willing to do. So, and of course it was also a dangerous thing to go out in the forest to collect medicine, to come back, also raising children, and, you know, all of those things were a kind of a thing of the past. So for my family was feeling that, yeah, but that was all a generation ago. Now we're not wanted, we don't need it. You know, we all moved on and, you know, picked up other jobs. So what are you talking about? Right? And it was such a struggle, especially growing up in the 80s, because everyone is running for something. So there was such less understanding why I would always bring back these things every single morning. I want to talk about something that there was no actual support. And that can be very lonely as a child. So I was extremely, I would say now when I look back, I was sad, I was upset, I was a very angry child. Also because I was very sick as a child as well. So my reality was not matching the normal reality, what we call normal for other people, even in my own family. So I always knew that and I'm very grateful for that, I always knew that this is real, and I don't care how many people are going to understand or validate or even tell me that, oh, it's okay. I didn't wait for permission. Right? So I was always the rebel, and I am very grateful that I was always that way, which helped me to navigate through those very dark, lonely long phase as a child. And it was not easy. I have tried committing suicides a couple of times because I just felt like I can't talk to anyone. No one understands, because you must know that this is a time before spirituality and all of that became mainstream, and this is a time when it was really kept down as much as possible in India, especially in Kerala. It was like, no way. And as you know, Kerala is it's very communist. It's still very communist. So everything about soul, spirit, there came a time it was all just nonsense. It's just, people are crazy to talk about these things. So for me, that was all the time. So you were always looked at as, oh, is there something wrong with you? But I got used to that very quickly. But I must tell you that I did not know that I will do this what I'm doing in the way that I am doing back then, because it was always about just absorbing, learning, trying to just guard my peace. When every single time you feel like, ooh, I'm being pulled in all directions to fit into a certain box, which people think is normal. So I feel like my biggest thing was to protect this what I knew was real.
So you didn't try to fit in. That's what you did, right?
Yeah.
You
No.
accepted who you are,
Yes.
and you were on this urge of finding yourself instantly, constantly.
Yes. But of course, I and then the teenage years came,
Yeah.
so I tried fitting in. I tried fitting in, but for me it was always inside outside. Outside I had a different personality, which worked very well to an
Yeah.
extent. But all my close friends, they knew this, so that was easy. So they knew this. So
Yeah. And how did you feel with them? Because you were accepted, you were seen as who you were.
no, but I would say it was more like more for entertainment purpose. You see, when someone is psychic, or if we would go somewhere, they're like, "Oh my gosh, what did you feel? Can you tell me? Can you read that person? Can you do this? What is the energy that you saw?" So I was always entertainment. So when there is a night at the beach, or when people are just sitting together, so I was always the storyteller. Let me put it like that, because I always had lovely friends, but for them, they never really understood that this part of me is beyond what I can keep down. So it was not just that I was always a storyteller, but this is really something what was driving me in every direction that I was moving. So after a couple of years, again, so that I would say that's the way I tried to fit in, but I always kept what is mine, what I felt is mine. So I always knew that this part of me is the part of me that I absolutely must protect, must cherish. But again, as you know, there were ups and downs, but it was always there.
Wow.
So when I look back, I can really tell you that, I always knew it. It was just about a matter of time to break more walls that were trying to keep me down. Even to my parents, they are amazing people. But because I'm a girl coming from that kind of a family, only men could serve. Right? So being a woman, and I think I was always very vocal. So for them, even that was a big thing, to accept that she is going out in the world and she's going to serve people, just anyone. Because for us, we would, my great grandfather, he served the Travancore king. So that's okay, right? That's all right. But also because he was a man, then you can go out in the world. But as a woman, it was always a question of, why do you want to do it? People will judge you. Of course, they were trying to protect me. People will definitely look at you in a different way. I would say they will put their projection on you, but you can't stop that. Why would you want to throw away your beautiful world, your beautiful life, your energy, just because someone else doesn't resonate with you, right?
That's actually very beautiful.
Yeah, because everyone will keep throwing that projection anyway, not just to you, but to everyone, right?
And in any area of your life, it's not only like if you're trying to find yourself, in any area of your life. So you have to be like very well aware that what's happening around you. Wow, beautiful. Thank you so much, Rakhee, for sharing this experience. So my intention with this talk show is that the people who are in the phase of their transformation, who are asking the questions, who are wondering, who are seeking for some guidance. So I want that with the next question, we can answer their curiosity. So there is this 4A principle, which I have derived from my own life, from my own experience. And the first A is awareness. Are you aware that there is more to this life? There is more to your existence? When did you realize it? When did you get aware about it? Or I should say, for you, it was always there.
Yes, but when I look back into my childhood, I feel that the most, or the profound things about life I learned through sickness, through death. So I have always had this, I would say, a deeper feeling, knowing whenever I was extremely ill. That's the time you can take a little step away from your body and look at yourself as a witness. So I have had those beautiful moments when I was extremely sick. And I remember that very clearly, that those were the times that came as reassurance for me that this is not just what it seems. This is not just what it seems. This is your body now, and the spirit and the body, they can come together in a union, and that's when healing happens. So after the first 10 years of my sickness, they could never find anything else other than my white blood corpuscles were multiplying by itself.
The doctors?
Yes, the doctors. So what used to happen is that any sickness that went around, I would say in India back in that time, I had it. So it can be measles to malaria to even tuberculosis. So because my immunity was that bad, of course I didn't have cancer, but it was always at the verge of, they didn't know how to treat me.
Worse, yeah.
I was always sick. So maybe 15 days or 20 days I'm in the hospital, and then I'm back at home. So, but looking back, those were my greatest, that was my biggest schooling. Because when you are in that for a full decade, because it started when I was one year old, to when I came out of that, I was 10 years. And then miraculously at one point, my white blood cells just went back. So they tested it, like, whoa, what happened? Now I can talk about it with a much bigger light, because at one point as a child, I started working with my own ancestral traumas. Because of that, my body was healing again. The white blood cells which was going up, it was inflammation. You see? So how can a child, just without any reason, I was born healthy, it just quickly escalated. So when I look back, I feel like those are the little missing links that the conventional medical system, they fail to recognize. So if I had received that kind, for my parents had received that kind of information before, it would have been a complete game changer for them, complete life changing for them. So it took me a lot of years really studying, observing myself, kind of putting all these pieces together as a child. That was,
How old were you?
I honestly don't really remember, because that's again, this is all before the time that it all became important to remember. I'm sure it maybe 7-8 years.
Wow.
But again, I can't say that I got into that wisdom by myself. I was really guided by my ancestors to really look more into it, to see, to understand why my body is this way.
Beautiful. I would really like to get more in depth with ancestral healing, and but we are in this flow. So you got aware, and then how did you acknowledge this whole thing, this situation?
I would say in the beginning it was just simply for myself. Because again, it's the time, right? Because when someone, even a child is going, if the child was going through the things that I was going through, there is so much more awareness to the topic. There are more people talking about it. There is spiritual things pretty much everywhere these days, if you would look. But before, I'm talking about the time when, I would say 98% of Indians didn't have a computer at home. Or we didn't have regular books about these things, or we don't have the search system or engine where you can just type something and Google it up, right? So it was very difficult for me to really understand what is my ego. And especially for a child, I would say, I don't know, 7, 8, it was just a lot of work to do by myself. But again, I was not by myself, so that helped. So I could see that, there are some things that are mine, some things that are not mine. So I started acknowledging it a teeny little bit, just for myself, like, okay, there's something that my visions are guiding me into. And I think I was always, in that way, very brave to step into different worlds. It was like my nice cozy place where I would do things by myself, finding out. And again, the age helps, because as a child, you are very brave. Children are brave.
And you're still very much connected.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was all about just understanding why the sickness, why am I sick, right? So it was, I was motivated just for myself, I would say. So it was not about, I can't say that I was doing this for a bigger reason. For me, it was just that, okay, I don't want to be sick. I need to find out what's happening to me. So the bigger awareness or the acknowledgement came much, much later in terms of really putting the missing pieces together for my own dharma. Here came much later, because that's the truth. Initially, I was only focused about, how can I get better? Nobody else can help me out here, apparently. My parents, they have tried pretty much everything. So slowly from that space, when I got older, I realized that everything is coming together. So it is not like I stopped being this for a while. It was always a part of it from the time that I was born, even before, even when my mother was carrying me. The doctor, a wonderful family doctor, he said, "Oh, you're super young. This doesn't look like a normal pregnancy. You should terminate the pregnancy."
Oh.
Yes. And my father also played a huge part in I would say, for my life here right now. My father, they were a young couple. My mother was only 21 years old. So my dad, he asked my mother, what do you want to do? And my mom said, "I want to keep the baby." And my dad said, "Okay, that's what I feel too. Let's go for it." So my dad, he was also a yoga teacher after his work. So he was also teaching and also organizing lots of satsangs. And so he was already very connected to the source. So he felt that if this child has already appeared, the child is already here, this is our child. We have to birth this child.
That's their dharma.
That's a dharma. And I'm so grateful
Wow.
that they really took it upon themselves as a young couple. Even when the doctors at that time, the doctors are, like gods in India, they can just say anything. So at that time that they decided on that, it's absolutely mind blowing. So I see that these were not coincidences. There were beautiful stories also. My dad, he later shared with me that when my mother was pregnant with me, he was working in a little village outside of the city, and there was this sadhu, there was this holy man who came, and he was giving my dad a food to give it to my mother. These incredible stories, so beautiful, right? So I always, we are all about stories, our whole family. So when he would say these stories, later on I understood, oh wow, there was so many people played a part in really helping my parents to birth me. And also all the incredible doctors, all the wonderful nurses who have helped me in different ways, of course. I'm so grateful for their help as well. So kind. So you see that you are not just this one person trying to, go up against this world. Even though I have had lonely times as a child, when I became older, I could see that from a different light and be much more grateful for all the people who have played a part in helping me acknowledge it.
Wow, super interesting. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for all these big questions. Every time you ask me a question, I'm like, oh, that's again a long story. Everything is such a long story.
But I think every story has a very powerful message and it needs to come out. So, Rakhee, I understand that your awareness of that, this is not the reality and this is the illusion, started happening from a very young age. And you had to go through this whole medical journey with your sickness. Can you share a little bit of light on how did you get aware about it?
I would say it started with visions of my great grandmother. So, and also before that, I would see people in my room, which I had no idea that belonged in my family line, because initially there was no one in my family talked about that, you also have ancestral line going all the way to Vietnam, Vietnamese, Chinese ancestors. There was absolutely zero talk about that. So I would see these really different looking people in my room, which would freak me out. Like, what are these people doing here? Who are these people? Why are they here? So I had a lot of questions about that, and then I would hear these answers back that they are coming here to support you. And I'm like, why would they want to support me?
And who was answering these questions?
I would say, for me at that time, it was very kind of, again, a 6 or 7 year old. In my understanding, I always saw it as a dialogue between a wise self within me So you can call it higher self, or a spirit, or a guiding light, but I clearly remember it was always a very clear channel that was telling me, okay, do that, do this, stop there. So it was very much like, oh, okay. I was purely connected to that source. So I started asking, like, but why is that person doesn't even look like me? Or even that person looks very different. I don't know why they would support me. So, but again, as I was always interested in the world, but I don't think as a 6-year-old I could differentiate what. I could only sense that, okay, they don't look Indian. Okay, that much I can tell.
Yeah.
The rest I had no idea. I think only much later I started really in a playful way. I would tell the spirit or the higher self that, yeah, but their eyes are different. They must be coming from very far. It's a completely different country. Why are they here to support me? But anyway, so one day I had this beautiful vision of my great grandmother. Her name is Bhagavati. Bhagavati is how we call the goddess.
Wow.
So we come, both my family line, we come from very strong goddess worshipping line. So we have our main temples, it's always the goddess. And also from my mother's side, I wouldn't, again, initially there was no talk about these things, but later on I understood that, there's a very strong tantric line of people. So our ancestors are literally in we have a beautiful word in Malayalam. It says avahichu, that means that their soul, their spirit, has been welcomed in a beautiful holy tree.
Wow.
This tree is inside the temple. So for hundreds of years, my ancestors are there.
It sounds me like an avatar. In Avatar movie.
You should come with me to India, to Kerala, to our temple. It's beautiful to have that kind of a wonderful source
experience. Yeah.
So there were a lot of things that was talked, but some of the things were not touched upon. Also, like I said, the time in India was different, and people were very scared of a lot of these things at that time. So so then this beautiful vision of my great grandmother came, and because her name is Bhagavati, I really thought that also for a very long time that, that's also the name of the goddess, right?
Yeah.
So it didn't even click in my little mind and my little brain that, that's true, but this person, this spirit is my great grandmother, and that is the trauma that I am really holding on to, which became so big in my life that it really took over my life.
And that's how you started getting sick.
That's also, I'm sure that, of course, every time a child is conceived, this is not even, I would say, just maybe a few years ago, people would think that this is some kind of magic that I'm talking about, but this is the DNA. These are your cells.
Yeah.
Science has said this, a long time ago, that we are not just this. We are a collection of cells, collection of DNA. So if your parents have gone through trauma, most of us have some form of trauma. It can also be it can even be immigration. Immigrant people, traveling from one place to the other, or refugees, they have their own set of trauma. Immigrants, they have their own set of fears and issues going on. And also colonization, war, poverty, malnutrition, you name it, most of us have some. Our ancestors have had experiences relating to all of these things.
Of course.
So from both lines, so from the mother and the father, the child receives a certain share of trauma. But again, as you know, ancestors don't just dump their traumas into us. Everything that is brave and beautiful and powerful, we are gifted because of them. So when someone wants to talk about ancestral healing, I always share this as first thing. It's not that we're going to get rid of something. We'll find ways to integrate it, because this is you. You can't get rid of your own cells. You shouldn't be shaming your own self and your cells. You can integrate this. So for me, it really started when I look back, kind of this asking, who is this Bhagavati? Because I know the energy of goddess, but this is something different, else. Yeah. So I literally, I went and asked my father. I asked, who is that? And my father also said, that's a goddess. I said, okay, I was confused again. I said, no. This is someone else. This is in my family. And I literally had to put those pieces together. But luckily, my parents, they started opening up little by little, much later. And then I understood that, wow, it was she who was trying to help me heal from such a long time.
So the traumas which you were carrying from your mother lineage, from your father lineage, and that manifested in your sickness, And yeah, and then you got aware that yeah, this is happening, and she actually also came to help you. So it's not that your ancestors just dump you with the
No.
traumas and say, okay, deal with it. They are very much present because they know you have the power to heal.
Absolutely.
And when you heal yourself, you heal the whole lineage.
Yes,
And
exactly.
you bring that freedom to them as well. Wow, that's beautiful.
Because I strongly feel that she really was shattered to see me, her, her great grandchild, suffering from such a young age. I was just 1 year old. I would even say when I was 6 months old, that's when it started, I wouldn't swallow anything. So any food that my mother would try to give me, I would just vomit it out. So now I know that I was trying to kill myself as a baby. I didn't want to be here. Yeah, if you stop eating, you will die eventually, right?
yeah,
So
of course.
my poor mother, she became completely paranoid because she even now she would tell you, you had a different kind of a strength. Even as a baby, that if you say no, it's like a no. There's no way she can do something that I didn't want to do. Which in that way, I put her through a lot of tough times because it was very tough for her to keep me alive. So she would do anything to.
And as
to
a mother,
feed me.
I can imagine how she used to
Extremely
feel.
painful. I am forever in debt with this beautiful woman. Absolutely, because it was a lot for her. So years later, of course, I could really speak about these things to her and also bring more understanding for her. And also, as we speak about it, there might be many children, many mothers struggling with not understanding what's going on with their own children.
Yeah.
Then to see that, there might be something beyond the naked eye, the physical eye, that is the path, that is the door that if you're willing to open, to really look at yourself, you will be able to help your own child. You'll be able to help your children.
Your loved ones, yeah.
Absolutely, your loved ones.
And it can be like it can come in any age. It can be a child, it can be a grown up, it can be in adulthood.
Yes, it can be in any age.
Yeah.
If you are called to, if you're feeling it in your heart, it can also be for your ailing mother or your father who is struggling with something.
Because for me, it came when I was I was like 36, 37 years old. That's where my ancestral trauma started manifesting in my life. And thanks to you, I got healed. Oh, hi,
We have
cutie.
company.
We have a company.
That's how she's coming.
Yeah. Okay, so when did you accept? So we were at like your great grandmother was communicating with you, and you said, yeah, this is that resonated with you a lot.
Yes, I would say that I was always in acceptance. This world was always also a part of me, my world. So it was never an aha moment for me, like, oh, that's different. It was one world for me.
Was it like in remembrance?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I always just knew that. So it was never, I never differentiated if someone is in spirit there or someone is physically there.
Wow.
So for me, those were the struggles to really differentiate that, okay, oh, in this world, people don't do that. Right? The way in which, the conduct in which people function here is very different in the spirit world.
Of course.
So the spirit world, and again, I feel that because I spent a lot of time in hospitals by myself, a lot in the spirit world, that was so much more easy for me. That's the normal. So to bridge that to the normal games, normal school, normal things, normal way in which people behave, I would say my struggle was always related to that social part of life here.
Beautiful. Oh, that came quite easy for you. So Rakhee ji, then what action did you take? Because acceptance just came in with you, right? You were already embodying your acceptance. What was the action?
Nothing at all. No action. I don't remember thinking that, oh, from this moment on I will do something. No, it was, I think the inaction was the perfect action I could have taken.
Beautiful.
Because there was nothing that I felt or I can remember. I just went on with my life. Because the connection with the source, and I knew it from a certain young age that's something very personal to me. It's something very unique to me. So I never had the need to present it in any other way. So people who knew me, they knew that, oh, she's like that. And that's about it. But I never showed up anywhere with that on. And it helped me a lot. Even now, I can just simply meet people where they are. Right?
That's
It
nice,
makes
yeah.
everything so simple and so
Yeah,
easy. You don't go with your identity. You don't go with your belief system. You don't go with any of the baggage that you don't need. Every person has a connection to the source.
So you were using it for your own healing purpose, for your own journey, for your remembrance.
Yes, and of course also for people who came to me.
Who came to you.
Yes,
Oh.
and that was that.
So what was that one profound experience you had that shifted?
I would say the time when I saw and held my father in a pool of blood. He had an internal bleeding, so that to me was the most beautiful, powerful, profound time when I really kind of fully accepted everything about myself. Right? Because when I was holding him in my arms, he was really coughing up blood. So I was holding him in his arms, very, very peaceful, as if I was doing this every single day. I was so calm. I took his head and I really, held him so close. And I looked at him very calmly and I told him, Appa, which means dad, I said, it's okay. It's okay. You're going to be all right. It's okay. And at that moment, I could really see his soul lifting up, getting out of his body. And I'm trying to, wipe all the blood from his mouth. And in the moment, when I saw that energy, I don't know what kind of power took over me. I literally spoke to that energy that you are not leaving right now. You are not leaving right now. My father deserves a better death. I know he will die, but it is not today. So that moment when I saw his spirit, his soul, and just him laying there and also in my arms like that put everything together, because I never wanted to own up to being a shaman. But in that moment, it just clicked in. It just clicked in because again, tradition-wise, we say that when that particular spirit has to move to the next generation, it's going to transfer during that time. So it all made sense. And of course, I didn't know that time, but my father, he told me later on that, and then that completely embodies. So I'm so grateful that everything that has happened in my life before, it really brought me to that moment where I could fully embody that energy.
Yeah, there is this beautiful saying by Yogananda, your trials didn't come to punish you, but to awaken you.
Absolutely, that's so true.
Wow. So we should not see our challenges as it's end of life. It's actually coming
something
for your soul
beautiful.
evolution,
Yes.
for you to stand in your power.
Absolutely, because otherwise, till that time, also when I, to all my friends and everyone, I was kind of ashamed, because I there is this sense that you're different.
It's
right?
it's like a judgment, validation.
Absolutely, and also during
we
that
don't
time,
want that all those
we don't
things
want
to
that. We
affect
just
our
want to
zone.
just do what everyone else is doing and just
fit in.
that's easy, right?
That's
so I
easy.
kind of didn't want to fully own up to that. I wouldn't even say power, a kind of responsibility. It is a responsibility that you, and I felt that till that time I was not seeing it in a beautiful light because of the judgments that people have, because of the ideas that other people have about you. So
we can make another talk show on conditioning and on judgment, what people say. Wow, thank you so much for sharing. It's so beautiful. Thank you so much, Rakhee ji, for sharing your beautiful story. That was very powerful and also very emotional at the same time.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm sorry I'm taking you back to that.
No, absolutely not. No, it's such a beautiful time. Absolutely a beautiful time, because everything that is born here will die. There's nothing is lost. I don't come from a space that feeling of no, I keep dying every day. I keep coming back, right?
High five on that.
There's nothing to be afraid of.
Beautiful. How did you translate this experience with your father to help people around you, and what you're doing now to help humanity?
I would say going back as a child, I would take food for people who I felt that they didn't have. But I also come from a family or a home where we used to give for at least 20 people every single day for lunch, exactly what we eat. So beautiful, delicious lunch. So that's something I feel like I've really learned that from my grandparents and also from my own parents. They're so beautifully giving. So that's something I always cherished and understood, that if I want to do something good, that's the line of choices that I have to make in my life to serve in some way. So then later on, I joined an NGO in Mumbai, and I also worked in many places around the Indian subcontinent, doing a lot of social work. So that for me was again serving humanity in a way that I felt was good or needed, and of course also always keeping my time open for people who always came to me also when I was young, and also when I was at school. When someone goes through a tough time, my friends or cousins, I was always the person they would come to. Also because they knew that I would give them a very non-judgmental, clear and crisp advice. Let it be for anything. It can be for a heartbreak. It can be for because those are the big things.
You were bringing healing to people's lives.
Absolutely,
Wow.
always. But even for my best friends or close friends, they were not very surprised when I came out of the closet, like really registering myself as a shaman and a mentor and doing this. Because, everyone knew this. It was just a matter of time that, I would just...
it has to come out
it
of
has
the
to
box.
come out of the box. So, but of course, for me now, because I've been doing this for a long time, gratefully, I evolved in this as a human as well. So now I'm living in the Netherlands, and now my biggest wish is to really grow this food forest that we have started, to tend to the plants, tend to the ecosystem, tend to the soil, which is again something my ancestors were always doing. My mother, she created a beautiful oasis in the middle of the city where we live in India. So we can't be cut off from a forest. That's just who we are. So we will just go create it anyway.
This is a very, very beautiful place where we are right now. I mean,
Yes,
I will definitely post some videos.
I am so grateful. We have so many fruits, nuts, vegetables, berries, herbs, beautiful medicine growing. That for me feels home, because this is how we have served humanity before. And for me, this means everything, to be able to grow the medicine that I want to share with people, and also to help sustain this beautiful ecosystem. And I don't believe that, I don't think, and in many ways it's true, that the earth doesn't need us, but we need
We need Earth.
the earth and the ecosystem. So it's a beautiful, wonderful mission that I am really combining it with the shamanic work and mentoring that we do, so that we open up this beautiful little piece of heaven that we are putting our heart and soul to, for people to come and heal here, to have ceremonies here, to have little gatherings, stories, poetry, art, weaving, all the things that have helped humanity heal for the last thousands of years. So it's, of course, every person gives that flavor. So I feel like I'm only doing that, just adding my own flavor to that.
Beautiful. So as you know, Rakhee ji, we all are walking this path in our own, so the destination is same, and we all are taking different paths. And we are like onions, so there are multiple layers on it, and we keep on shedding those layers and trying to find ourselves, our core, our values. So how do you see this journey of uncovering your layers which you have not tapped into yet?
By not doing a lot. For me, again, being in action, really simply following the flow, especially when you want to grow a little forest. I would say that for me is everything that I do to nurture my soul and my spirit, and really working with the plants. And so I don't, that's my ritual when we make a little fire outside and sit by the fire. That's the ritual. That's the
by living in the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And also serving and caring for everything around you.
That's beautiful and so simple.
Yes,
but so difficult to do.
Yeah, so that's why a lot of things have just moved past. It's I will never tell anyone to force anything in their life. If you find joy in a simple life, it's the best.
Beautiful.
Because in that simplicity there is also a lot of beauty. right? We see magic here all the time. So I can't say it's a simple, boring life. It's a simple, but a super exciting life. It's pretty much everything that I could ever dream of.
Wow.
So it just only keeps getting better.
Wow. Beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, last but not the least, do you have any message for the people who are listening to this show and who are in the early phase of their transformation? What would you advise them?
Don't wait for anyone to cheer for you, support you, validate you. Try to give time for what is speaking from your heart. And don't be afraid to take little steps towards what is moving you or what is pulling you. So if you see something, it can be anything. It can be art, it can be dance, it can be yoga, it can just be gardening, anything that moves you. Give it more attention. Because there are different types of spirituality, right? One journey can be fully individual journey where you are only looking at where you're going, what you're doing. But there is also another where you are
just
being, and also really in a constant dance with the nature, with the universe, with everything outside of you as well. So you bring the outside inside, and the inside goes outside. So it's a very beautiful union. So I feel that is that space that I am really slowly, growing into, and really joyfully being and learning.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.